Hey everybody, Aaron Fisher here with Adam, Alex, Steve, and the rest of the gang from Conjuror Community, the world's best magic club. Today we're going to be looking at the rockin' socking magic of Derek Dingle. So do us a favor as we get started here, hit the like button and subscribe to Conjuror Community so you'll be notified every time we go live with a freshie. Welcome, friends.
What's up? Wow, Derek.
Hello.
I feel like you were just telling us your Derek Dingle story. Like when you were a kid, you really got into Dingle, huh?
Hotai. I used to sit with Hotai, the laughing Buddha, and we used to talk about how happy we were when we saw Derek Dingle riffle those cards so fast, so hard, so deep. Yes, I was fascinated by it. Then one day, Lee Asher and I went. We were so excited. This might have been the year I met Alex. We were in Sacramento. Derek Dingle was there. We were so excited to see him. And we happened upon him in the bar where he was drinking a stout hard drink and trying to read his book and learn some magic for the shows. But in his day, Derek Dingle was considered to be the most skillful card guy around. And I would say after Vernon moved himself out west, where they'd appreciate him, sort of the Derek Dingle emphasis sort of took over. The aesthetic of Derek Dingle sort of ate the New York card scene. You know what I mean? And I'm not sure it's ever really recovered.
There's this funny story. I wish I could find the clip of it, but there's a story of Derek Dingle being on, I think it's 2020 with Barbara Walters. It could be, but it's Barbara Walters is interviewing him. And Derek is doing all this amazing card magic. And he has a job working for a marketing firm in Manhattan. He's, a hotshot marketing guy, but he does all this card stuff. And he sort of sells himself out on TV because he's like, Barbara's looking at all this stuff he's doing and going, how could you possibly be this good? How does someone get this good? And he says, oh, I practice, 10, 12 hours a day. The next day he went to his marketing firm job and they fired him because they said, clearly you're doing this all day and you're not doing the work that we need. We've been looking at the numbers and you got to go.
Wow.
Oops. That's a sad story.
Yeah.
It's a weird story. But after that, the guy went full pro and, I didn't bring up footage of it, but he started working trade shows like the guys we were watching in some of these recent episodes. He was doing trade show work, doing all the kind of magic that we're going to see him do. He was doing that at trade shows and gathering people to sell typewriters and fax machines. So I don't think it left him in a bad place. My point is that it left him in a place where then he became, I think, the Derek Dingle that we all know and love as magicians, right? Because then he went full force into it. And then he started talking about it to magicians as well. But I think that was sort of the kick in the butt he needed to go full pro.
He got into magic late and got into the heavy stuff hard. And he was hanging out with all the heavy guys at the time. He made friends with all the heavy guys at the time. Maybe we should just throw on some video and we should get the party started. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds great.
Totally.
All right, let's watch a little coin magic first. What do you think here? Yeah.
Sure, why not?
All right, here we go.
Or as they would say, meh.
He's pretty famous for this, though.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
He was the van card. This is called the Schneider Dingle pickup move.
See, famous for it, dude.
2 cards, 2 hands, and 4 coins. Now this amongst magical parlance is called a 4-coin assembly because these coins are going to assemble in one corner, hopefully invisibly. I say hopefully. What's the first one? Number 1. That's 2 there, 1 there, and 1 here, just in case you didn't notice that. Watch the next one go. It's going to go from over there to join those 2 in the corner. Watch. That was it. And the last one from this corner over here. Watch carefully. I'm sorry. Watch the last coin. You ready? Watch. It's going to travel from this hand up one sleeve, across the top, down the other one, and under the card. That's it. 4 coins. People usually get suspicious at the end and say, well, how about the extra coin you obviously use? And that's right. I have not figured out what to do with it yet, but if I do, that will be a great trick.
Pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
That last coin was bigger. I don't know if that was really the extra used in the trick,
Maybe not.
right?
I don't know.
So this is famous. Is this a famous Dingle routine?
Amongst magicians, yes, because the technology there makes that routine really clean. I think when you do it for laymen, the way we talk about it in CC is just, it's clean. It's the effect, right?
Yeah.
I think that what we just saw is a kicker ending. That's sort of a, because I can, right?
Well,
magician,
also just the moves, like the whole sequence to me, like I've definitely seen it cleaner. That did feel like it was made for magicians to watch.
Yes, it's about using those, what Aaron alluded to, that Dingle Schneider pickup move, being able to at any moment pick up those the card and hide the fact that there's a coin there, right? So that it can be super clean. He just re-routine the thing so that he could make magicians go, whoa, wait a second. But I think that probably even he would say, if you're going to do the thing for laymen, you probably want to do just the standard matrix, because it's a solid routine. The structure of it is solid, right? It is what it wants to be.
Derek was definitely a professional magician, and he was definitely known. When I asked a lot about him. I was never a friend of him. He was secluded away from magicians by the time I was coming along. But he was known for doing a wonderful ring flight, wonderful cigarette through coin, real classic, simple commercial stuff, of the stuff that we're always recommending and talking about in our classes. The same kind of material we always recommend, but the magic that he was known for, that made the magician's hearts sing, was all kicker endings and backfires and double color changing endings. And well, who knows what's going to happen next? Maybe we'll watch a card trick. Maybe something like that will happen.
Yeah, it's true. And that book is full of these kind of ideas. And I think that's one of the reasons that book was really sort of difficult to penetrate and understand, because you needed to understand these classic things before you started to play with the twists and the magician kickers of these standardized, beautiful magical plots, right? Dingle was definitely like postgraduate work in magic when you're looking at that book, that complete works book.
Alrighty. Another little card trick. Tell you what I'm going to do. This particular one. I'm going to flick through the cards from the front to back. The magician's parlance is termed a peek. I'm going to use you as, you don't mind being my assistant, do you? Just while I'm doing this little trick. Remember, I'm going to flick from the front to the back of the cards. And as I'm flicking through, I'm just going to ask you to say stop somewhere, okay? Would you do that for me, please? No, in this deck. Before I get to the end, thank you. I'll do it again for you, Wise. Now, I have to start first, I know this takes a long time, but I will do it slow for you. As I flick through, just say stop. Just remember that card. Don't forget it, okay? Everybody can see the card, just in case you're wondering. I'm going now to try to find that card. Give me a choice. This is called a peek, which is what I actually did the right way. Was it the 4 of diamonds? How about the 5 of hearts? Leaves me about 50 to go. 51, including the joker. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the cards into 3 piles, and I'm going to deal them. But the way I deal them is I'm going to deal some face up and some face down. And I call it a deal. A lot of people call it a shuffle. Watch carefully. Some face up, some face down. There we go. I'll do it again for you. Some face up, some face down. You remember your card? Very good. One more cut, or 2. Please, would you name your card? The 9 of spades. Watch. See, the whole deck is straightened out apart from one card. And with any luck, that should be the nine of spades. Well, it wasn't too difficult. You see, because I cheated. See, I did it. It was the only red card in this blue-back deck, and that's how I found the stupid thing. No.
There it is, right? Kicker ending, because that could be an obviously much simpler process, but for magicians, you know, if you're at a magic convention, you're seeing a bunch of magic guys, that's the way you're going to get knocked down. You're going to go, how? I saw all these other guys do the what? I don't know. I think it's pretty great, but it is, you know, the more you look at this stuff, it is definitely magician centric.
But it was a lovely routine and very, very classical, typical Dingle, I would say, right?
Agreed.
Let's watch another.
Yeah, let's keep it going.
You know, it's really interesting, guys. I don't know if you noticed, but I sort of feel a little bit like I'm watching Ringo Starr do card tricks.
That's very funny. Yeah.
It's not a Liverpudlian accent, but you know.
Right. Waiting for his all-star band. This is another one of those for me, this was like a classic reading it in the book. I love this trick.
Coin trick. Because it's coins from different countries. This is a large old English coin, very heavy, 1977. Picture of the old Queenie on it. Chinese coin. It's a fake magician's pretend real Chinese coin. Then we have a bracelet charm, I think, and finally a real old American quarter. Now I'm going to try and pass them through the table, just like this, one at a time, into this class. Watch carefully. Here we go. Number one. That's the quarter. They get harder. What's the next one? Is the fake. George Washington, medallion. Very slowly. Here we go. Watch. Very slowly. Not yet. And the second one. All right. What's the third one? This is the genuine, fake Chinese coin. Chinese coin. So watch carefully for this one. It's tougher because it has to go through sideways. One more. And the big one. This ties a little bit more force. It's very heavy. And here we go. Ready? Watch. And that's coins. Thank you very much, guys.
Pretty cool.
That was a pretty great solution to that last phase, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you know what, I'm watching this, and it's really a shame that the footage you have, I mean, this is the only footage I've ever seen of Derek Dingle, you know? And it's a shame that this is what it is, because I would have loved to have seen him like working a trade show booth or something.
We do have that. Here's the thing. There's a lot of it. There's a lot of Derek Dingle footage, and I just wanted to give us a taste first of the magician stuff, right? So we understood why he was relevant, but then I do have more footage that is the more commercial stuff, you know what I mean? But I thought it was worth having it in the conversation just so we can see all of what it's about, you know what I mean?
What I was just saying is that because it's a shot at a magic convention, the room is like super flat, you know?
Sure.
And it's not really showing how powerful what he just did is.
Agreed.
In front of like regular people, or, you know, semi-regular people anyway.
Well, I get the impression, I mean, Alex, is there a lot of footage of him doing his
there was
regular old material for regular old people drinking in New York City?
No, and the stuff that does exist like that, it's the angles are really bad. You can't even see the magic. You can see, you got to make the trade-off. Do you want to see the material or do you want to see the reactions? You know what I mean? Because it's at the beginning of the video technology that we all know and love now, right? It's the beginning of that. So no one was really skilled as they should have been at shooting magic at that point. So seeing Dingle at his prime, it's not really, I hate to use the pun, but not really in the cards for us,
So Dingle didn't hardly ever come to Reuben's Deli back in New York City, hardly ever, but he did show up a couple of times. Of course, you'd have King Krenzel, who was there every single time, right? Very different styles of magic, and anytime the times that like Dingle would show up, it would be everybody would crowd him so much, like he was such a superstar in magic, but he wasn't as accessible just in general. Like I don't know, I mean, just a completely different personality. It didn't seem like it was like he was the kind of guy that you could go up and be like, teach me how you did that just then,
He was more about like kissing babies and shaking hands because that's all he had time for, right?
Yeah.
He was famous, and magic guys just wanted to be next to the famous magic guy. They couldn't get into material with the guy. Oh, that's too bad. It's too bad.
So the impression I got is that was really during the time period in the 70s, and he was obsessed with magic for 10, 20 years, and he developed all that material and he did the whole circuit. And then like a lot of guys, he passed through that time in his life and he got interested in, living his life and having his cocktail and working his show and hanging out with this lady who I think was a booker in New York City. And I think it's probably fair to say if any time we saw him, he was trying to learn the material for the lecture that night. He wasn't feeling like he was in stroke on that stuff. And to be fair, when a guy like that feels like he has been known to be one of the best in the world, he's real proud of it and doesn't really like to be put on the spot if he's feeling out of practice.
And he was also an Air Force guy. Like I know he was in the Royal Air Force. I would love to know, like, you said he got started a little bit later in magic, whatever, but like I know he lived in Hong Kong for a while. I know that he lived in Canada for a while. I know that like he knew magicians all over the world before he sort of settled where he settled. But I would love to know what the young Derek Dingle's magic was like. Do you think he was doing that classic like cigarette through quarter kind of stuff back then more so, Aaron?
I don't know. I got the impression that he got into magic and then got into heavy sleight of hand and was always kind of going for the passes and stuff from the very beginning. Was just interested.
But he also understood the classic magic, right? I mean, like Aaron keeps alluding to, he's working, right? His wife was a booker. He was doing magic for laymen, and he wasn't doing this stuff. This was the magic for magicians. And at a certain point, we're going to get into the Derek Dingle material that is that. And you'll see that, classics like that cigarette through the quarter that you mentioned, Adam, that's totally one that he was doing for laymen all the time, right? It's just one of the classics because it kills. It's a killer routine. You'll see it when we play it. It's a killer routine.
And by the time the complete works of Derek Dingle came out, like his focus had primarily changed by then, huh?
Well, I don't know, but certainly by the time I showed up, I showed up in 1993 or 4. I think that book was from 86 or 7 or 5 or something like that too.
82.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure Dingle was around by the late 60s, early 70s. And I know he was spending time everywhere. I know he was with the Canadian heavy duty guys. I know he was hanging out with Frank Thompson in Baltimore. He knew all those guys for a while, Then I think I think at a certain point he started to get interested in publishing his magic stuff, and I think a lot of his social avenues sort of shut down at that point.
So he's gonna do. So I have heard of this one through and through. Let's watch that next because
this is fun. This is an interesting thing. I like this one.
Yeah, it's interesting and it's really quick. So it's a really short trick, but yeah, let's check it out. Let me make it big.
With one giant card, and instead of using 4 coins to join into one lump in a corner, I'm going to use 4 playing cards. Okay, I'm going to use the 1, 2, 3, 4 of spades. Watch. The 1, 2, 3, 4 of spades. Now watch them. I'm going to place the 4 over here, the 1 down here, the 3 over in the corner, and the last one, the 2, will travel from the top to the bottom and join the ace underneath. Watch carefully. Well, that's okay. It went. Doesn't matter what you do. Okay, that was the 1 and the 2. Now watch the 3. The 3. I'm sorry. 3 should, the 2 should be face down or face up. It finishes up. Face down. What? There we go. Well, that's okay. It went. You can see it's not on the bottom. It's not on the top. It's with the 1 and the 2. Okay. Now watch the last one. The 4. See, the 4 is going to travel from the top to the bottom and join the 1, 2, and 3 underneath. Ready?
This guy's ready.
What's the 4? Remember, it's going to join the 1, 2, and the 3 underneath. Just like that. And that was it. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You see, the deck should have been face down. It makes an awful difference. With any luck, I should have the 1, 2, 3.
Is not the trick I was thinking of at all. I have never seen that one before, actually.
You know, what's the word for that? What's the word for those assemblies with the big cards? Like, because there's stuff like that in Stars of Magic, right, Alex?
Oh, right. What is like the soiree, like the Queen's soiree is
Like
like
giant pieces of cardboard, you know, where you're basically doing matrix and the cards are the coins, and then you have bigger cards, right?
yeah.
I forget what it's, maybe it's Queen Soiree, but you know, I don't know. That was fun to watch. I for whatever, I'm a Magic dork. I could watch that again myself just for its own sake, because you know he's certainly got an awful lot of management built into that. There's an awful lot of stuff going on, and you know, and you can feel that he wishes it was a time when he had the electricity and the excitement in the room. You know, he's got this sort of self-deprecating thing going on, which is unnecessary. You know, I kind of want to watch it again, but that's just for my own sake. I don't know if that would be interesting to anyone else.
Yeah, we should watch it again. I'm curious.
You know, I like watching him manage the cards around, and you guys get the gist of it, right? Everyone knows what's kind of happening, right?
Yeah.
But just in the beginning,
The only one that would get anyone is the last.
the thing that was interesting to me, just in the beginning, you know, he's into those buckles. He's got to do. He's working really hard to manifest those spreads. Anyone like Newell that knew the Wish Wedge wouldn't have to do that.
I like this comment that Alf said. He's seen Matrix with cards being done covered with 2 folded newspapers. Like, yeah, where does it stop?
Well, we have seen Harry Anderson do Monty with cards that are like the size of his torso on stage, so I don't think it could stop.
And that's a big set. The jumbos were big.
Yeah, Monarchs.
Yeah, I don't know. Put a 1 in chat if this kind of magic for you really floats your boat. If this is your thing, you know, that kind of thing that we just watched. Because it's weird. I don't know if it's just this recording, but it's not really vibing with me as well.
No, but it's.
Let me say something about this too. Remember that this set of footage, these set of tricks that we've been watching here, this was in a studio, and it seems to me, from what I can gather, it's like maybe half a dozen people that they have as an audience that they got together and they made this thing happen. This next thing that we're going to watch is the one that's the most commercial of this set, and I think it's the one that you really feel them become sort of layman. We do have another one of these coming up, and the next episode that we do of Derek Dingle you'll get a feel for more of the, commercial stuff, the stuff that you see him rocking an audience with. It is a magician audience, but you get a little bit more feedback than we're getting from this, which is, it's unfortunate because we're not seeing, if there was a bigger audience, we'd probably feel the energy of what these routines actually provide. But this next one definitely has that. So let's do that.
Would you please just pop up here just for a little while? I need somebody to select a card. Thank you.
That Dr.
No,
Burke?
you're not going to take that hint, I guess. Here we go. Take any one you want, please. Okay? Do you remember the card? Don't forget it. To make sure you won't forget it, you've got to do me one favor. Okay. And sign your name in big letters across the face of it. Okay? Good. I'll have the pen back. You can show the card to the rest of the gathering. Okay? And I need you to place it back in the deck. Watch carefully. Remember, I'm going to try and find your...
A cockroach.
I thought you cleared this studio with these things. Anyway, I'm going to try and find your card, but I don't need your assistance right just here for a second. You can take your seat back. Thanks very, very much. I'm going to find your card. There is a balloon involved in this trick, obviously, as I said
Oh, I've
before.
always wanted to see this.
I have balloons. I happen to have many balloons. Here we go. One. I love these balloon blowers that can just do this one after the other, and they just go zip, zip, and there it is. More than one balloon. Are you thinking of your card, Valerie? Very good. So am I. I'm thinking, I hope that I can find it. Yeah, that's a good looking card.
You're just going to need 7 more balloons.
Oh my.
No, you got to get the joke, see?
Yeah, he's getting there.
Okay.
That's the thing.
One of these 3 balloons,
Whoopsie.
I'd like you to think of it. Which one of these 3 balloons would you like your card to appear in? I have 2 balloons. I'm going to try and find your card in one of these 2 balloons. I'm going to ask you a question. Would you like the blue balloon or would you like the blue balloon? Whichever one that you would love to choose, I will find your card inside. Just right off the bat. Quickly, the blue balloon or the blue... I guess you chose the blue balloon. What? Here we go. What was the name of your card? 2 of hearts. Watch.
Oh.
It's pretty great. I love that trick. I think that's pretty commercial. I think that would play for anybody, anytime, anywhere.
It's a very interesting method too. I mean, I've definitely seen that trick done in a more direct way, and he chose to go, I would say, around the bend. You know, he chose to go around the bend to get to the effect because there was a lot of byplay he wanted in there. It was an interesting routine, though. Long way.
That shtick, he's got the card here, and he's got the dick shtick happening over here, right? And then
This is the kind of thing will really kill at a church supper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This will really, you'll really get a rise out. You know what I mean?
what's that old line? Do you remember when Tom Cruise played the motivational speaker in the movie Magnolia? Do you remember when he would say respect?
Yeah. Respect
The balloon trick.
Respect the balloon trick.
Respect the trick. That's what he would say. Respect the trick. I think it's a great method.
Card and tame the card.
He lost me at the Who box. When you look it up in the book, you're supposed to get a little needle and stick it in your card case,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that you can go, right? I think, but as I get older, I think, first of all, I would love to see a couple other, I would love to give Rolando and Steve and our expert presentation meisters. I would say if I didn't want to do something so phallical, right? What might we do to give us a little byplay so that we could let a few balloons fly without having to go for the whole schlong and winding trick?
You know what would be interesting? There's this chemical, and I don't remember what it is, but you get like a little dab of it on your fingertip. And that chemical, if you touch a balloon, within like 10 seconds or 15 seconds, the balloon will pop. But it's a finite amount of time before basically what's happening is that chemical just basically breaks down the rubber of the balloon and it disintegrates. But if you could do it in a delayed situation where maybe you have them on a rack, where you touch one, you give it 5 seconds, you touch another, and you come away and then do the gag and have it just be like red, white, and blue or whatever, and you don't do the joke.
You know what? It's always so personal, right? Like what you would do. Like my first thought is helium balloons, and then sucking in the helium and talking in the voice. It'd be hilarious. Tons of stuff go. You can get tons of mileage out of that. The last balloon's left, you pop in the cards there. There's some kind of a path there that you'd have to improv it out and figure out what would
laughing gas shtick, right?
Yeah, you'd have to just kind of work that out. But that's interesting. The thing is, when he did this in the 70s, this is about the 70s we're watching, maybe 80s. What is this?
Well, I think this is later. I think this is him replaying the hits.
90s. This is like
it's in the 90s.
Yeah.
So like there was a time, I'm not sure it was in the 90s. But there was a time when a joke like that is kind of like a cutesy, teasing, flirty joke.
That's right.
Now it really, like, we all saw it and we all went, right? Like that was our initial reaction.
Right. It's the same thing like what we were dealing with the bar magicians and the trade show magicians, right? It's just dated.
It's dated. You have to just take that into account, really when you're watching it.
I don't have a problem with that. I'm just wondering, I'm just thinking about the trick seriously because I do like the method. Mm-hmm. I do think it's an awesome impromptu. If you can palm a card, you can do this trick. So the question is, would you want to?
And that trick right there, not only do you have to be able to palm a card, but you have to be able to do this.
The hard part, Adam, is you have to be wearing a jacket. And
I don't know. With the position of it for him to be able to retrieve it back into the palm, going to the,
easy peasy.
You're overthinking it. It's just you don't know the method. He has a piece of tape on his shirt, double stick tape.
Oh.
And you're just like,
pull it off and get it and go, right?
Oh, I see.
Method wise, it's as simple as it could possibly be if you can palm a card.
If you can palm a card.
Oh, interesting.
And then the who part that you're talking about, that folds down, right? It folds up and it folds down so that it you can have that needle be there when you need it or not. So it's pretty wonderful. The whole thing seems really versatile. And like we said before, it's commercial, right? It's a commercial piece if you put the red dressing around it. And it's just very practical.
It's really great. And incidentally, I sort of feel like when you take a look at these 90s, I remember sort of seeing the stuff that came out. And this is an old memory of an older thing. But my feeling at the time was, oh, he's doing the commercial stuff that is widely applicable. But the thing that made Dingle so beloved to card people in my generation was not that stuff. It was all that wacky card shit. And, you can see when they asked him to put these tapes out, he was going to have to learn every trick in it from scratch. He was putting together the most commercial, direct, discreet stuff he could, not the sort of hard stuff with tentacles.
It's really interesting looking at all that because it reminds me of when we had the last summit and Jim Steinmeier was talking about, this inside baseball thing, that a lot of magic has become inside baseball. And what Derek Dingle was, and probably even like Paul Harris, like in the late 70s, a lot of their stuff was inside baseball with these variations on like standard magic plots to fool magicians with a thing that they already know. And it's almost like magic guys that were never going to perform anything. We're going to magic conventions and being performed with inside baseball. And I think Derek Dingle was one of the big proponents of that. It's very interesting looking back on it because there's only so many standard tricks. There's only so many ways you can see them. And eventually you're going to be like, well, all right, we've seen that. And a guy like Derek and a guy like Paul, they can come in and turn it on its ear and people go, marvelous. That's a whole new way of looking at that thing. And I'm tickled. Right. I think that's why these sort of famous.
Just so you know, he doesn't mean Michael Amar's trick from Encore 3 inside baseball.
No, I don't.
Or baseball.
Yeah.
You're exactly right, Alex.
So,
that card stuff is never going to come again. Go ahead.
it's so funny because he did the Cockroach Pass, right?
Well, he's done a lot of bits about passes he's not doing. That's kind of the theme.
The minute I saw that, I chuckled. You guys know Aldo Colombini, right?
Sure.
Sure.
But one night in St. Louis at the convention, he's had some wine. He's had some wine, and we've all had some wine. And he was just doing it 2 hours on the Cockroach Pass, like going to everybody in the bar, like trying to do a trick that people aren't even at the convention and using the Cockroach Pass. And the people got pissed. The hotel.
Sure. You're implying that there's bugs in our establishment.
I know that's not Dingle, but still, it was hilarious, man. It's so
the shtick is he's doing these tapes. I mean, I don't know if this is clear to everyone watching. He got himself into shape on these 5 tricks to do these tapes. Now he's got these 5 passes in his book, but the one that he's doing is the easy one, right? He's doing the one where you're doing the classic pass as a false cut. So he's using it as the magic move, almost like the guy said, "Are you gonna do your pass today?" And he was like, "Nah, I don't do that anymore." Then he's in the middle. I mean, you can feel the inside baseball moving into the actual show because he's doing this. What? It made the card go. And then he's making the card go. So he's doing this pass shtick about the pass he's not doing all through that trick. And that's what we just, a recall, the cockroach bit, because now he's going to do the pass, but not let anyone see. So he's being coy. But the thing is, he's got to practice on it.
It's true.
Yeah.
And that's what happens.
Yep. Agreed.
And unless you never plan on being out of practice on anything, it's a pretty easy thing to have compassion about.
Mm-hmm.
So in our next episode of Derek Dingle that we're going to do, you'll see the stuff that he is in practice in. All of the stuff that we'll see in this next episode is the stuff that he clearly did for laymen on the regular basis. He has jokes for them, and they're, even though it is a magician audience, you can see that all of the material's connecting because the jokes are, he's worked them out. He's been doing them for 30 years, right? So it's a different experience in the next one that we're going to have here, the next episode that we'll have. But again, I think it's important to sort of get the whole picture of what Derek Dingle was. And this, this magic for magicians was totally a part of it. I think it was a big part of it.
Yeah. And it had a lot to do for it. Look, it was very meaningful for all of us,
Yeah, totally.
And the book, I was going through that book I was looking up, when we were looking at the out of the box stuff, I was looking up the Regal Royal Flush as recently as 4 days ago, There's
I want to see that.
Oh, yeah?
Are we going to watch that next time?
I mean, only if I'm doing it. Everywhere, Nowhere in the Air, Regal Royal Flush. The only trick I could do in that book for years, the one that I used to play with, was all backs with selection. Not your card, not your card, not your card. And then I would impose this crap on everyone, everywhere I went. Oh my God, there's no, and this is like not my favorite trick, all back. Oh my God, there's backs here, there's backs there, Backs here, backs there. And you just, and I just remember it being the only trick I could fumble my way through. It was the very first time. And the first trick, it was the first example of a trick, like 15, 16 years old. I would say to someone in class, let me do this for you. And like, I'd get like 2 inches into it and they'd be like, well, you got 2 cards and you're holding them together as one. And I'd be like,
You're not supposed to know that part.
don't worry about it. Look, that's not your card. That's not your card. That's not your card. Hey, wait a minute. Look, I'm going to emphasize its singularity. One card with backs on both sides, except I wasn't doing it good. Like one card with backs on both sides.
She looks pretty good there, though.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like 20 years, 30 years past that, right?
And I wouldn't do that method with your card. You know what I mean?
Much
Like
less.
when I finally like I would be like, all backs on this side. That's right. There's no faces on the cards. They
Such a,
hand it over. All backs on this side. It's not like it's one of those tricks that when John Thompson would do it, I'd be like, well, I guess
I didn't really understand that.
no, not really. I'd be like, well, if John wants to do it, I'm not going to say anything.
Eddie Fector never did that stuff. Eddie Fector was just like, kid, here, take this, hold this. Now look, it's gone.
That's crap for.
I was rereading that Schulian book the other day.
Mm,
Good stuff in there, man.
totally.
And a lot of it's like, just do whatever.
Right. All you need to know is how to do a false shuffle, a control, and a palm, and you're in. You can do any card trick.
There's something to be said about that, actually. Like if you can just do a false shuffle and a palm, woo, tour the world, baby.
And if you can do a false shuffle, more than likely you have some sort of control. That's all you need. You need to get it to where you want it so you can get it out, right? That's it.
That's it.
But yeah, Schulian, very organic. I love it.
Garnet says the Dingle diversion. Ha!
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, we're actually going to do another episode really soon on Dingle, because next time we're going to look at the other side of Dingle, the other stuff, which is going to be interesting because we're going to have two shows back to back. We're going to get to compare and contrast. See, there is a method to this madness. I hope you enjoyed the show today, guys. Thanks. Do us a favor, hit like, which tells everybody we're doing a good job on these videos. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to Conjuror Community. Of course, if you're watching this video, you're obviously a magician, because no lay people sit through these long videos. But
Inside baseball.
inside baseball. All right, we'll see you guys, tomorrow night on Conjuror Community, our weekly show on Wednesday night. The rest of you guys will be back on Thursday for Afternoon Astonishment. We will